Happenings podcast is brought to you by Sustainable HR PEO and Colath CPA, a local professional service firm supporting Madison businesses and nonprofits just like DMI with their various back of office needs. The firm aims to provide high quality professional services and be true business partners to small and mid-market employers. If you're interested in accounting, tax advisory, HR, payroll, and benefits administration, Sustainable HR PEO and Colath are local providers who are committed to serving Madison and the downtown community. Welcome to the Downtown Happenings podcast. I'm your host, Jason Ilstrup, president of Downtown Madison, Inc. And today we've got a fantastic friend of downtown, Molly Fish, owner of Lake City Books, a phenomenal locally owned bookstore right off the square here in downtown. She's going to talk all things books, all things downtown, and all things life. Molly, how's it going today? How are you?
I'm hanging in there, Jason. I'm happy to be talking to you.
Oh,
I
flattery will
told
get you everywhere.
I told Madeline that when we logged in, I was like, I think I just need a little Jason Ilstrup in my life today. Enjoy some of
Oh,
that Madison positivity.
oh, I like
So I
that.
think this is
It's funny, Molly, producer Madeline didn't tell me that. So I'm glad you did. I'm glad you did. Molly, thank you so much for joining us. Lake City Books is a dream, right? You've been in the book business for a long time, managing bookstores in Chicago, in Madison. Why did you make the leap to open your own bookstore?
yeah. I worked at the university bookstore when I was in college at UW, and that was my first bookstore job. And always have loved books and reading, so I've been in and out of the bookstore industry. I took a big swing to Epic for 8.5 years, but then got back out, was managing a store here, and also taking a lot of small business classes. I've always loved small business, despite working at one of the biggest businesses in the country for 8.5 years. I do really love operations, reporting, financials, like all that back end business stuff that I think a lot of people, it scares them. That was actually a thing that I really enjoy and find fascinating. So, taking classes at the UW Small Business Development Center, which I highly recommend. I was doing that at night. I was doing a lot of other like online self-taught small business and bookstore business specific stuff because I just I had that bug. I worked for a family owned bookstore in Chicago, and that was where I really got that like small, like, yeah, we can be flexible, we can try stuff, we can fit the needs of our customers. And I was able to like create programs there, even as like a young 20 something, just, fresh out of college. They were letting me try a lot of stuff. So it felt like, oh, yeah, family business, small business, you really can make a huge impact and also have a lot of control, which is kind of like a big thing for me. So it's all come together, and I knew I wanted to own a business. It was a dream to own a bookstore, but kind of like a fever dream. Like 2023, is that really the right time to open a bookstore? Turns out it is. Indie bookstores are back, baby. We are thriving. It's been a huge post-pandemic boom for indie bookstores. Our Midwest Indie Bookstore Regional Association has like, I don't know, huge, almost like 50% growth in the last 3 years alone because I think people really took a hard look at their lives during the pandemic, and also we all kind of got a little more aware of where we're buying our goods, especially things like books, and we wanted a lot of those safe spaces and community spaces that bookstores can offer a community. So it's all come together. I think we are riding that wave of the indie bookstore boom, and it's working really well. It also happened that downtown Madison needed a bookstore, and growing up here, I went to Canterbury, I went to Room of One's Own, Rainbow Bookstore, Paul's Bookstore, Aval's, Shakespeare's. There were so many bookstores on State Street and around the downtown Madison area in the 90s, and they were all, different and supported each other, and our whole community could support multiple bookstores. And now we're down to just Paul's way down by the campus, and I thought, this community needs something, especially not only the people who live downtown, which is a lot more people than I ever really knew before opening this business. People walk their dogs by every day and they wave in the window, or they stop in because we allow dogs. Or we also have great tourism here, right? Like you guys know better than me, all of the increasing tourism in downtown Madison, and people want a Madison themed book or postcard, or they just want to come check out the vibes. And like, what better Madison vibes to offer people visiting downtown Madison than a bookstore? I feel like it can really embody what we have to say as a community. And I, uh, as a Madison native, as a person who loves it, and I named Lake City Books after Madison and want to and really dedicate it to the city of Madison because I love Madison so much. I want to represent us to anyone visiting or living in downtown Madison.
Right. We cannot thank you enough for, investing in downtown. And as a native Madisonian, you know Madison well, right? You talked about all the different bookstores and Shakespeare's and Paul's and River One Zone that were down here. What do you think that Lake City Books brings to the vibrancy and that sort of culturalness of the downtown? What are you adding to the mix to make our downtown even more interesting?
Yeah, great question. I One of our unique features, we sell both new and used books, which is a combo that's a little bit rare these days. It's kind of like two different business models, and so most people focus on one or the other. And we do have really great new only and used only bookstores in Madison, and we're really the biggest hybrid bookstore where we're doing both. That means that students can come in here, UW students, and they can find something for under $10. They can find like a popular new release that just came out, and someone else will have sold it to us for store credit, and we can sell it to them. Maybe someone who can't afford to buy a $30 hardcover, we can sell it to them for half price. And so we are really creating like, I don't want to say a recycling program, but a way to access new releases, popular books, and keep literacy and reading at the forefront of our culture in Madison. It's something that I think a lot of people are interested in anyway, but maybe don't have as much access to. And by showing like, hey, here's what people are reading right now in the Midwest. Here's what's popular. Here's what I love personally, because I do curate all the books myself. Here's what I think your kids should be reading. Here's great classic children's literature. Here's really fun new stuff. Here's diverse points of views in kids' books. So we have a really big kids section as well because we're right across from the Children's Museum. And we get families in here all the time. And I like to say, like, there's something for everybody in the family, right? Grandma and grandpa can come in with the kids and with mom and dad and with like cousins from out of town. Everybody can find something that they will like because, well, we have candles. We got like a Madison flag. You got the kids' books. You've got history section. You've got the brand new fiction. You've got the TikTok books that people might want, like romantasy. I personally love romantasy, which, if you don't know, that's romance and
I'm sorry.
fantasy.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm 47. These
Yes,
are all new terms for me. Is
let me
this
educate you.
include Fabio? Is
Okay, I think, Fabio is a really great example of the older version of mass market romance, and
Oh,
romance
okay.
readers
So no
were
fantasy, no romantasy.
no, there's not a lot of fantasy elements other than the fantasy of Fabio, of course. But
I can't believe it's not butter.
there's
Yeah.
now this mix up of genres where there's dragons and then there's also some erotic scenes. Not necessarily with the
Oh,
dragons, to be clear.
okay, okay.
But
This is
it's a
not the
mashup
direction I
of
thought this podcast was going to go, but I
it's
love it.
always a party at Lake City Books. So it is really a hot genre for younger people, people who no one's really ashamed of romance anymore, right? And they've updated covers on romance so that it doesn't look like trashy Fabio, whatever, posing with his shirt off. It's like a really accessible, fun genre, and now has combined with fantasy, where there can be these like this big epic world building, and then there's still a love triangle, or there's still a an element of yeah, of spiciness, you could, and I think that's another great thing about 2024 and books is that we're not so like in the closet about what we read. There's so many more diverse points of view. There's queer romance that's like super popular, and people of like allies of all um, genders, races. You can find a book, you can find yourself represented in a romance, you can find yourself represented in literary fiction, you can find history about what you're feel like you're going through. So there's just like such a diversity of points of view now that are being published, and I think that's a great thing to put out, face out on the forefront. People can come in and see that. And also in children's books, it's another thing. Diversity of children's book is really important. So we're just like having a great time here. And I do think that the thing that we're adding is this book culture, right? We're really showing all aspects of it as best we can, a well-rounded book culture of both children's and adult stuff. Every genre is represented. We have like both new and used of every genre. So yeah, well-roundedness and just a safe and fun place to come hang out and look at books, think about books, talk about books.
Well, I should be very clear at this point that Molly and I have known each other for a very long time. So I can say this statement. Molly, I love and hate you. I love you because of all of the amazing Madisonian books, just like the one literally on my desk right now, The Magic Hour, Janice Duran story about small businesses in downtown. But you also sold me My Truck is Stuck, which is a kid's book that now, Molly, I think I've read over 100 times.
Hmm.
Uh-oh, My Truck is Stuck. Can't
You
go
got it
wrong.
memorized?
Oh, I've got it memorized. Mateo loves the book. So I should say I love you for that as well. But my question is more back to the Magic Hour, right? Which is this great story about Janice Duran, the puzzle box, being on State Street for years, and now Little Luxuries as well. How's it been to be a small business owner downtown? Have you felt supported? Do you like being part of the business community here in the downtown?
Yes. Short answer, yes. Long answer, we are a little bit removed being over on our side of the square. We're on Hamilton Street. We're right by the Children's Museum and the Old Fashioned. So we're not removed. We're in the center of, downtown, but we're removed from the other retail, I should say. And I think that's the interesting thing about our location. I personally kind of like it. We're a little more accessible, I think, in people's minds because there's parking here. Everybody knows they can park and go to the old fashioned, but they might be a little more intimidated to try and park and go to like the Orpheum. And I think saying like we're right by the old fashioned means like, oh yeah, I don't mind going downtown to go to a bookstore because I know it's over on a little like quieter of a corner in terms of like retail parking. So there's almost always street parking you can get here, for example. So there was a trepidation from me at first thinking, I know a lot of people, a lot of Madisonians who are in their neighborhood, and they say, like, I come downtown for concert on the square once a year. I come downtown for like an overture concert once a year, and they're not really going downtown on that regular basis, such that I was like, am I going to get the Madisonian customer base, foot traffic that I really want to develop? And I have been pleasantly surprised that people they are coming downtown. I think hopefully we are part of that draw. We're bringing some people downtown and maybe they wouldn't have thought to. Like, for example, we had a bus book tour come here from Milwaukee, and they were able to just pull up in the loading zone right out front of our store and hang out. And then they walked around the square. And that was part of one of our Indie Bookstore Association events is that we signed up to be on this bookstore tour, for example. So people from all around the Midwest got to come and walk around downtown. And if we hadn't been here on the square, they wouldn't have had that stop on their tour, right? So I do think that it has been better than I even expected to be in terms of it's not intimidating for people to come down here and find us. Um, I will say, in terms of support, I've met the owners of like Little Luxuries, Anthology, Red Square Flowers. We had a women in business meetup for Brava magazine, and it was really lovely to meet all of these other women that are small business owners in downtown Madison. I have felt a little bit disconnected being over on my corner because like I'm not a part of like Madison Night Market, for example, because like I'm not on State Street, and so we're a little bit too far removed for that. But meeting all of them and talking with them really did help connect me. They were all really supportive, and we all have each other's contact info now and can reach out and talk about what's going on and trends that we're seeing. So I have definitely been more and more impressed with downtown Madison's community and of course like organizations like you guys like Destination Madison. I've been I've felt really supported by that and mostly by the city of Madison and like people just coming out and showing up at the bookstore, even if they don't live downtown, and when they do, we have lots of folks that live right around us that just come in, and every time they come in tell me to the point where I'm almost like sick of hearing it. Like, we're so happy you're here. And I'm like, I know
We
you
are
said
so
that to
happy that
me
you're here.
last week, but thank you. Like, I'll keep hearing it. I have to really stay
Good.
grateful. It's like I,
We are so happy you're here. And you
yeah,
said something in the middle there. I want to be dead clear. You are a draw to downtown, right?
yeah,
Folks come because of the bookstore. I have done that, and I'm someone that, is downtown all the time.
right.
I've come with my kids and my kid. I don't have multiple kids. I don't know why I just said that. I only have one. Sorry, son. There's not another child out there. But you really are a draw here, and it's a quieter corner, but you've
Yeah,
got Draper Brothers, you've got Gotham
yep,
Bagels, you've got Harvest, you've got
yep.
Soul, which go for the chicken. Go for their chicken day.
Love
You've
Soul.
got all of these great businesses over there, and there's really fun things happening. One thing I think that Madison is very blessed, privileged, lucky, whatever you want to say. We have an incredible local author scene, right? We talked just a little bit
Yes.
about Janice Duran. How do you get to be part of that local author scene, and how do you help promote these great authors and these great books that are being written right here in our home city?
One of my favorite sections is our local nonfiction section where we found that book for you, Puzzle Box, which is all about Wisconsin and Madison. It's history, it's local authors writing memoirs, it's nature and, Ice Age Trail books. And Stu Levitan, Jerry Apps, there's so many really great people writing about the history of Wisconsin, about uh, agriculture, about Madison. There's photo books. And that is one, again, that I love to represent because people who are visiting here can come browse and look at the rich history um, of Madison and Wisconsin and realize we're not just beer and cheese, right? Although there are also books about beer and cheese.
I mean, we do. We are a lot about beer and
We are a
cheese.
lot about that, but there's more, and there are a lot of people writing interesting things. And we have a local fiction section, which is Madison and Wisconsin authors who are writing, world-class books, literature that is being sold all over the country, but we get to put it in the local authors section, right? It's not books that are only in the store because they're local authors. It's that I would sell that book anyway, even if I had a bookstore in Kentucky. And I get to put it in the local author section and I get to see that author when they come in and they can sign the copies that they have. It has been really great to connect with those people also through our podcast. So we have a books and reading podcast where we talk to local authors and local people in the reading community called Book Pop. And that is me and my manager, Jamie, and that's another way that we love to support folks. You can listen and hear about Madison book events. You can hear about Madison book trends. You can hear from Madison authors and listen, hear about their books. You can just kind of hear what we're reading and what's going on at Lake City Books, like what's been a bestseller. We give you a peek behind the scenes here, which is also a lot about Madison. We also talk about like where we went to happy hour or what our favorite new restaurant is that we've been to. So it is a very pro Madison podcast as well. And we just got to talk to a Madison author, Casey Osborne, for example, who has a really great local thriller out that takes place in Madison. And I was reading it and I'm like driving around, kind of like looking over my shoulder because these places are so real. She's like talking about going to Barriques on Regent Street for this like shady meetup. And now I'm like, oh my God, I can picture that so vividly, the Barriques on Regent Street. And it's really fun to see Madison in the pages of books. It really helps connect uh, to the story. And they're also just really great books, right? So it's not a challenge at all to support these local authors. They have great books.
What makes you most excited about the future of Lake City Books?
The future of Lake City Books. I am excited about continuing to grow, continuing to support Madison, maybe a second location. Uh,
Oh, well, if that's not a tease,
it's something I'm looking into
I
and
like
thinking
it.
about.
Downtown's big. Downtown's big.
Downtown is big, and there are also a lot of, satellite areas of Madison that I think could use
Fair.
support.
It doesn't have to always be about downtown.
I know you're the downtown guy though. You should bring it back
Yeah,
there.
yeah. I am what I
Well,
am.
and I would never not have a flagship Lake City Books in downtown Madison, but we just have had seen such growth so quickly that I I can't wait for more. Like right now, I'm staffing up. I'm creating jobs, which I just like love to say. I'm um bringing more and more events and things, not just like author events, but we're gonna try and do like trivia and just have other like evening events in this neighborhood. So you can go to the Bartell, or you could come to Lake City Books and do like a fun trivia thing. And we want to continue to grow that like kind of after hours 6 to 9 period for us, and make sure there are fun, safe um, places to go and just have fun and think about books with other people. So that's the other growth areas, continuing to pack more into the space we've got and then maybe expand into an additional space.
Molly, I love it. Molly Fish, you are the best. We are just so thankful
Thanks,
for what you're
Jason.
doing for downtown. But you're not going to get off that easy. We didn't tell you about this ahead of
Uh-oh.
time. Something called the Fast and Furious Five, which is sponsored by, well, we don't have a sponsor, so it'll be sponsored by Lake City Books today.
Great. I'll
Maybe
send
we
you a
should get a
check.
sponsor. Yeah, there you go. All right, so I'm going to ask five quick questions, and I want the fastest answer that comes out. So whatever pops to the top of your mind. Are you ready?
Okay. Yep.
Best book you've ever read.
100 Years of Solitude, Gabriel Garcia Marquez.
That is a good book. Even I've read that, and I don't read very much. All right. What is the your best bookstore you've ever been to worldwide?
Uh, Exile in Bookville, Chicago, right across from like the Art Institute. It's it's new, but it's really fabulous.
Oh, I like that. Okay. All right. Best concert you've ever been to in downtown Madison.
Oh, I'm trying to think fast.
You don't have to be
Downtown
that
Madison.
fast. You don't take it literally. We can
Okay.
just awkward silence is good on a podcast. We can just, kind
Yeah, you can cut this out, right, Madeline?
of. Sure can.
Downtown Madison. I would say so many great concerts at the Majestic specifically. I can think of so many. One coming to the top of my mind is Here Come the Mummies, which is a great funk band where everybody dresses up like mummies and you don't, it's like studio musicians who are under contract, so they can't
Oh
reveal who they
yeah,
are.
yes. Yes, I've heard about this band, and it's like people that literally are like backing up Taylor Swift on
Correct.
their albums, but
Correct.
they're covered, so you can't know who they are. It's like
Correct.
Taylor Swift's guitarist,
And
basically.
it's like
Yeah.
they do like crazy, it's a really great funk show and funk music, which I love, but then there also are like doing like push-ups while they play the trombone. It's like a whole spectacle. So
As
there.
one does, as one does. What's your favorite meal downtown? So you leave Madison for a little while, and you come back and say, "I really want this meal downtown."
Paul's Pelmani, too easy of a question. Pelmani, half and half with the works, Russian dumplings. I can't live without it.
Okay, well, I don't have lunch plans, so you may have just solved that problem.
Do
All
it.
right, last question of the Fast and Furious Five. Out of town visitors, what does the ideal downtown Madison day look like for you?
Okay, this is a great one. We talk to people about
The
this
other
all the
ones were
time.
not great. Okay.
It's one I can answer. How about that?
Okay, perfect. All right, fair.
Okay,
Besides,
you
you
can
mean Paul's? You answered that pretty quickly. Yeah.
park. That's right.
Yeah.
Park right by us. At Lake City Books, you got the Capitol North ramp. You can walk up, hang out here. If you got kids, go to the Children's Museum. Easy 1-2 punch right there. Lunch at the Old Fashioned. Burgers. The Haystack onion rings are my favorite that I always recommend to people. Also, don't sleep on their tuna salad sandwich. That's my favorite that I cannot get enough of. Go to the Capitol, do the tour, go up to the rotunda if the weather is nice, go outside. That is, I think, a really like easy, free thing to do and gives you this insane, beautiful perspective, very humbling. Of course, walk down State Street. Oh, I was gonna say stop at Fromagination, our fellow Capitol Square retail buddy who we just love Fromagination. You got to get some of that cheese in when you're visiting anyway, so that's a great stop. King Street, also great. Do anything on King Street. But if you're going to walk down State Street, I would say stop and get a drink at, oh God, there's too many places to name. But I always tell people, what's my favorite? Now I'm trying to blank. Well, so you got to go down to
Just get a drink at every
Paul's.
place. Just
I
make
get
it.
it. Yeah, just do a bar crawl down State Street. I
Make
was
a
gonna
bar
say
crawl.
Paul's. Again, everything called Paul's in Madison is
Yeah,
good.
but they're two different places.
Yes, they are. So, but if
Yeah.
you just Google Paul's in Madison, wherever it takes you, it will be good. That's how I think.
One
Because
will have a
any,
tree and one will not.
yeah. Paul's is my favorite. That's a great place to grab a drink, right in the center of everything. So,
This is a good day. I'm gonna hang out with Molly on the weekend. Do you
yeah.
mind if I come with the 2-year-old?
Nope, that's Mateo's welcome, of course.
Thank you. Well, Molly Fish, owner of Lake City Books, please check out her amazing bookstore right on Hamilton Street, right across from the Madison Children's Museum. It is such a pleasure to be with you, and thank you for really all you're doing for the downtown. It's so important to have new retail and to have your store right in the heart of downtown. It means so much to us. So thank you so much, Molly. We really appreciate you being here with us today on the DMI Downtown Happenings podcast.
Thanks, Jason.
All right. Hope everyone has a great day, and we'll see you all downtown. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for the support. Have a good day.
Bye.